Hello, parents, and welcome to the Parents as Coaches program. My name is Master Gary Schill, and I am your host, but I'm also going to share a lot of information with you about our history, how we got to where we're at today. And I'm hoping you guys will watch this before so that when we actually get into the actual program itself, we can get right into the meat and potatoes and get to work. So I was born in the Azores Islands. This is my parents, David and Helen Schill. My dad was in the military and he was a career military man, spent 24 years there. He was in Vietnam from like 70 to 72, was there during the Tet Offensive, so I didn't get to see him for a couple of years while he was over. And then after we got back from Vietnam, he and my mom had another child. It's my sister Gayla. And then when she was 3, we were actually sent over to Germany. We were actually supposed to go to Iran for embassy duty, and then everything kind of blew up over there. And so my parents got reassigned over to Germany. And then while we were there, they discovered that my sister had a pretty serious heart defect. So serious that my mother went in with an appointment for her on Tuesday just to look at some abnormalities for her. And then by Friday, my sister and my mother were actually medevaced to the United States to Wolf Center in San Antonio. Spent a lot of time in that hospital. And my sister was very sick. She had a rare heart condition, and she's actually had, I think, probably close to 15 to 16 open heart procedures that she's had throughout her lifetime. My mom worked for La Quinta Motor Inns, spent many years there. The headquarters of La Quinta Motor Inns that they were sold was actually in San Antonio. And then growing up, being that, the first probably 10 years of my life, I mean, we were on military bases my entire life, but the first 10 years were pretty cool. After my dad got back from Vietnam, we were actually stationed up in Oklahoma and got to spend a lot of time around fighter jets. Actually got to go up in one, which was pretty cool. And so just being around that, led me to really want to be a fighter pilot. What I didn't learn until later on, until I went through these formidable years. There's some kind of crazy pictures for you. And yep, bad hair days, we get it. And I wanted to play basketball in high school and then, go into either the Air Force Academy or because what my dad did in the military at this time, we were around all the recruiters and everything. And then I went to get my eyes checked and come to find out my vision in my left eye was not 20/20. When I graduated from high school, I didn't have a path because they told me that because my vision in my left eye wasn't 20/20, I couldn't go in the military and fly. Come to find out later on, that wasn't exactly the truth, but I could have gone in as a flight engineer. They could have given me context. I could have switched my AFS and became a pilot. But I just didn't understand that, so I got mad and said, heck with it. But I was really kind of lost during this period of time. So I decided to go to college, and when I started college, I actually had a weird opportunity come available. I went to work for this man. This is B.J. Red McCombs. So have you ever heard of the McCombs School of Business at the University of Texas? That's what it's from him. He actually sponsored that and put it together. Mr. McCombs grew up poor, then started working in the oil fields. He was kind of entrepreneurial minded from the very beginning of his life, but he started working in the oil fields, make good money, met his wife, and decided he didn't want to be at the oil fields for long periods of time, so he came and started selling cars, and kind of the rest is history. And so, very influential piece of my life, because when I started working for him my first 2 years of college, I went from a very different paradigm shift from where I was at growing up. My parents still live in the same 1,080 square foot home that I grew up in. And my mindset about money, because my mom was raised, both my parents were raised post-Depression era, but my mom was very big on, hey, we don't come from that. We're not going to be wealthy. Money doesn't grow on trees, that whole negative programming about success and money. And a part of it was just because of the way my grandfather was raised her. And so when I went to work for him, this was a paradigm shift. And I'm actually going to share a story with you later on during the seminar that is going to show the impact that he had and the missed opportunities that I had because I didn't just listen and take advantage of an opportunity that I was given when I was 18 years of age. This is my family. Most of you know Paula. She's my wife. She works here at Peak. We have 5 total children. 3 of them are here in this picture. The 2 older ones, Ryan and Nicholas, weren't with us on this trip. But now the younger ones now are old. Everybody's pretty much out of the house. Grayson's got a year and a half, and he's done with high school. And then Paul and I will be empty nesters to some extent. We started Peak Performance actually as Dragonheart Karate in 1997. Church. And then I was actually running my instructors academies from 1989 through that part. We actually started the first after school and summer camp program in Texas at the academy in San Antonio. This is first iteration of Peak Performance. We changed the name in 2007 as I was looking at franchising the entire brand. And that's before the economy took a tank in 07 and 08. But this is the second iteration of the first iteration. Where you see that dragon at, you see that black pole. There was actually, the after school room was actually right where that black pole to where that wall was at. We knocked it down to extend the martial arts floor, and we took over a suite right next to this one to do the after school in. But this picture was taken circa, I think, 2005, 2006. And so it was really kind of a neat setup on where we had it as we were growing. And then we moved to a bigger facility, and then we moved here to this facility that we're currently in 2009. And then right now, as I'm making this video, we actually have land under contract to purchase 4 acres of land and put up a 24,000 square foot building. Just take the 17,000 square foot and expand another 7,000 square feet. Paul and I also own 3 other companies, and we've started getting into real estate as well. So we have the Peak Performance Training Center with the after school and summer camp programs, and then we have our 7-figure business success coaching program, and that actually has several iterations that are inside of there as well. I'm also an author, a 3-time best-selling author, and then I do motivational speaking around the country. This is probably the proudest book moment, best-selling author moment I've had. So this is Jack Canfield. He's to my right. Nick Nanton is to my left, and he's actually the guy that's actually produced the movies about the sex trafficking that's really big right now that's in the theaters. So he's a producer as well, and that's his partner over to the our far left, our far right. That's Mr. Dix. But Jack Canfield heard about the work that we were doing inside of the academy with our Peak Performers program and the life skills lessons we're doing in our Parents as Coaches program, and so they invited me to participate in a book. And as you know, if you don't know who Jack Canfield is, he's actually one of the authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul. It's actually the 2nd most published book in the world behind the Bible. And so they just sold the franchise a couple of years ago for a little over $800 million. But the true story about perseverance about this book was it was turned down by 140 publishers. And so on top of the $800 million they sold it for a few years back, they actually made hundreds of millions of dollars off this entire series. Jack and I did one, along with a few other authors, called The Success Secret. If you've ever heard of The Secret, that's something that Jack and a few other people put together. And then they put this book together called The Success Secret, and they invited us to participate with it, which was a huge honor for me because I never even looked at writing a book for those purposes. It was all about just whatever we need to do here to impact the lives of the children and the families that come into Peak. So to be part of that was a huge, huge honor. It also got me listed with the National Academy of Best-Selling Authors. We have 3 Cooley Awards. We've written a total of 6 books, and my 7th book is actually Paul and I did. It's a book called Fortune Through Faith, and so it's actually how to kind of meld the lessons inside of the Bible along with building a successful business. And so that'll be coming out here in the next month or two. The Success Secret was actually #1 on 7 separate bestseller list categories. It was featured on ABC, NBC, CBS, all the major news networks, and Peak has actually been featured on most of these as well. We were also on the cover of Taekwondo Times, America's Premier Experts, and so we won several awards as an academy. We were listed in the USA Today twice, and then we were actually on the Michael Gerber television show. Now, Michael Gerber is the best-selling author for a book called The E-Myth. And what he basically did is he discovered, what most entrepreneurs go through. You have a hobby or a passion, and then you take it and you start running a business. And the dichotomy of your passion and the business things that have to go together. And a lot of times they work against each other, and just finding that right path that to really kind of help them make that transition. So I'm actually going to play the clip from the television show, and then I'll come back after this.
Hello, it's Michael E. Gerber, and it's the Michael E. Gerber Show. And I've got a wonderful guest, Gary Schill. Gary from Austin, Texas. Tell me about you and your company.
Well, we do a lot of things with families and children. So the primary thing we do is take families and build development tools to help them develop children to be stronger kids, give them more confidence and self-esteem, help them to build success traits that only 3% of the population even have. So that later on they can become successful adults is the biggest thing we work on.
And how in the world do you do that? When kids are such a problem, parents are such a problem, how do you put the two problems together so they're not a problem but a success?
Well, one of the things you got to do is you got to educate the parent. And that's one of the biggest things with our Parents as Coaches program is to educate them and provide them with parenting skills and success skills that they didn't learn from their parents. I don't know about you, but I didn't learn things like goal setting and communication skills and those things from my parents. I had to learn them from business people. So as we teach these to the parents and we teach them to the kids at the same time, there's a congruent message all the way down the line. The parents know it, the kids know it, we know it, so as we're working together, it's the old village raising the child, not them out on their own.
But there's something more to it, because I know you're a martial artist.
Yes, sir.
And I know you got a martial arts
Academy.
Yes, sir. You have your own dojo. You got people who work there for you.
Yes, sir.
You slap them around a little bit.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit. So there's something about martial arts in this. Can you tell our guests something about that?
Well, the martial arts builds a lot of great things about confidence and self-esteem and discipline, but the one thing we realized is that when they were in the academy, all these things were feeling very good. It was a very safe and comfortable environment. But when I would see them out in the community, I'd see them at school, they would hang their head, they wouldn't have the same confidence. And what I realized in addition to that was that the parents, as we were teaching these leadership skills to the kids, the parents were coming to me saying, hey, I don't know what the kids are talking about. I don't know about goal setting. I don't know about communication skills. So we realized about 9 years ago, we put together this Parents as Coaches program to teach the parents the same success skills we're teaching the kids so they could reinforce the same message at home so we could have that congruent message moving forward all the time.
Incredible. So you've been doing this for some time.
Now, 37 years.
And how many parents have you taken through this Parents as Coaches?
About 10,000.
10,000? No kidding.
Yeah, we work with about 20-some-odd thousand children every year through the local elementary school district and the schools.
All in Austin, Texas?
All in Austin, Texas.
Austin ought to be lifting off the ground.
Well, it's about 1.5 million people. It's not the small town it used to be, so it's grown quite a bit.
So are you intending then to take this out to other communities?
Our goal with the Parents as Coaches program is to take it national, to give parents a little upper hand. I mean, right now our kids are in trouble. I mean, they're being faced with things that 5 years ago didn't exist. And the problem for many parents is they don't know and they didn't experience this as a child. So they can't say to their child, when I was young, I experienced the same thing. There wasn't Facebook, there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't MySpace, there wasn't texting on the phones. So all the things that our kids are experiencing today, our parents, or us as parents, don't have a frame of reference to help them with.
Right.
And so we don't know how to help guide them through this process. Also, with this social networking going on, our kids are really in a reality series with their friends every day. Nothing is private. Everything is out there for the open. And so socially, they're not equipped to handle all these things, and they don't know what the ramifications are when they hit the send button, when they send a picture or information out, the cyberbullying, all the things that go on. So our kids are really in trouble. They're fighting a battle they don't even realize, and the parents are even less equipped than our parents were raising us.
But the martial art, and as I understand martial arts, as I understand the presence that's essential, is actually what's missing in these kids. They're being distracted from themselves. They have no way of reconnecting with themselves. Their parents are distracted. They have no way of connecting with their kids or themselves. So it sounds like what you're really doing is applying the martial arts to this socializing in a completely new way for most of them.
Yeah, we're teaching them a lot of things about how to handle what they're being faced with. So in our martial arts academy, we teach what's called a peak performance program. So one of the things we teach in there is about the social networking and the communication side. We teach kids how to communicate with other kids. Today, children are literally sitting next to each other and they'll text each other.
Yeah.
They won't talk. Well, you and I both know as adults, that's not an option. We have to speak with one another. It's a problem. One of the problems why so many marriages are failing today, because communication is so low. And if these kids are coming up and they get married, the communication skills are going to be even less effective than what they're ineffective right now. So we've got to build these traits and these success skills. But if we built them as kids, I mean, think about it for you and me. If we look back and at 5 and 6 and 10 and 12 years of age, we learned the success skills we know now as adults, what difference would it made in our lives?
Oh, extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary.
Humongous.
Yeah. So how does somebody out there in this world that we're speaking to right now, how do they contact you when they want to really, really dig down deep and learn what you're talking about?
Great question. So they can go to our website. It's successfulfamilies.com. And they can go to any information on there, or they can click on the Parents as Coaches program, and it'll take them through a 14-step process that'll help them develop healthy, happy, self-confident children that are impervious to bullying and negative peer pressure,
No matter where they are.
no matter where they're at.
So any place in the country,
Yes, sir.
any place in the world.
Any place in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely fantastic. So, Gary,
Thank you very much, sir, for having us.
incredible. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things that we work a lot with the kids is that we work a lot with who they're spending their time with. So if your grandmother ever said to you, let me meet your friends, I'll tell you what kind of person you are. And so one of the things that I've really worked hard on is that surrounding myself with people that are more successful than I am, trying to pick up things that we can bring back to the academy and instill in the kids and really kind of help them, be the best version of themselves, be more successful than we were, faster, stronger, just all the way around. So I've actually developed some good friendships out of this. I told you a little bit about Nick Nanton and Jack Canfield. Probably the best friend that I pulled out of these relationships is up to the far left. The guy there is Glenn Morshower. And you've seen Glenn probably in tons and tons of movies and television shows and all kinds of stuff. And so just look him up. Glenn is an amazing, amazing human being. He's smart as a whip. The most interesting probably out of that I kind of shocking to me was Gene Simmons. Gene, you think rocker, right? Well, Gene was actually going to be a rabbi priest. He went to seminary school, and then it ended up played rock music to kind of support himself, and ended up forming Kiss, and the rest is history kind of situation. But that man doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. Loves F-bombs, but he doesn't drink and he doesn't smoke. Very, very level-headed business guy. So these are just some of the people that we put into our success circle. So in this program, these are the things we're going to cover the night of the seminar. We're going to cover our Black Belt success system, why we turn a lot of kids around. Kids that come to us, if they've been kicked out of other places, their focus and concentration's off, all these things are happening. Now, one of the things from the Michael Gerber video is that video was done in 2008, 2009 timeframe. So think about where we're at now almost 15 years later, and having the issues that we're having with kids today is even worse. So we're going to talk about our PCP, and no, it's not that psychotropic drug from the 60s. It stands for Praise Correct Phrase. We're going to talk about how to prevent the quitting habit. We're also going to talk about the 3 levels of learning, our character development program, the electronic connectivity and the negative impact it's having on our children's lives, financial education, our peak performers program, and our recommended reading. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the seminar. This is Master Schill. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.